Hello everybody, I am Thrash Maniac HD, and yes, this is the first episode of my newest discography review series for a band. After a little bit ago checking out the votes, I made a video the other day saying which of these four bands do you want to see a discography review from: Avenged Sevenfold, Megadeth, Trivium, or Hatebreed. And even though it was only four people who voted, it was close among three bands. But the one band that got the edge by one vote, and real quick, you guys need to step it up with the voting, but it is what it is. But by one vote, the band that gets the discography review, of course, you already know from the title, Avenged Sevenfold gets a discography review. Now, I'm not reviewing Hail to the King since I've already reviewed it. In fact, that was my first album review I did here. So I'm not reviewing that for a second time. Instead, I'm going to review the first 5 albums. And we start off this discography series with their debut album, Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. Now, this was the debut album from Avenged Sevenfold, and Avenged Sevenfold started roughly around 1999 with M. Shadows, Zachy Vengeance, Jimmy the Rev Sullivan, rest in peace, and Matt Went on bass. But they went through a couple of bass player changes in the beginning, and for the album they settled on Just Insane, and also played piano as well. But, so the lineup on this album was M. Shadow, Zachy Vengeance, Jimmy the Rev Sullivan, and Just Insane. You do have the guest appearance from Sinister Gates, who has kind of always been a real member of the band, but he didn't play too much with them in the early days. He did sessions with them here and there because they mentioned a story about in their All Access documentary about him being too good to be in a band. Kind of the same with Jimmy the Rev at the time, but they joined up together because they were all just good friends. So yeah, that was the lineup situation with the band at the time, and this was during their time period where they were playing metalcore music. For those who don't know what metalcore is, basically metalcore is combining extreme metal, thrash metal, crossover thrash, and hardcore punk. So, and it kind of got started from the whole crossover thrash movement from the 80s with bands like Cro-Mags, SOD, DRI, and Suicidal Tendencies, so on and so forth. And then eventually metalcore was formed out of the band Biohazard and other bands such as Killswitch Engage and Shadows Fall and bands like that who enjoyed extreme metal, thrash, crossover, and hardcore, mixed it all together, and you get metalcore. And Hatebreed is probably the best metalcore band of all time because they really do a great job with combining metal and punk together like that. And in the case for Avenged Sevenfold, they were heavily influenced by many metal bands and several punk bands. The list goes on with the influences they have. Bands from Black Sabbath to AFI to Metallica to Dream Theater, Iron Maiden, Social Distortion, Bad Religion, Slayer, Megadeth, Halloween, and even the band Death even had a little influence on them in the beginning somehow, some way. But yeah, their list of influences can go on forever. Pantera, Guns N' Roses, you name them, they were influenced by them. So they took all their influences, put it together to form Avenged Sevenfold back in 1999. And then in 2001, January 31st, 2001, the original release, it was re-released in March 31st, 2002, when the band signed to Hopeless Records after being on Good Life Records. So, Sounding the Seventh Trumpet was, of course, their debut album. Now, this album, overall, before I get into it, overall, my history with this album has been a flip-flop kind of situation for me. Because at first, when I listened to this album, I liked it. Then, after a while, I wasn't too big of a fan of it. But in the past couple of years, since I discovered bands like Death and Death Clock, where they do death metal, I kind of opened my mind to the screaming vocals, and this, for the most part, this album was mostly screaming vocals, which was a big thing to do in the metalcore stuff back in the day. Nowadays, you can do anything in metalcore bands nowadays. And I just got a Facebook notification. I wonder what the hell for. It's for the COH page. So yeah. But we get to the album. We start off the album with a 1 minute 26-second song called "To End the Rapture," and this is the only song on the album that Sinister Gates played lead guitar on. And I'll say Sinister Gates, as a guitar player, one of the best modern day guitarists I've ever heard. I mean, his solos are like 200 miles per hour kind of solos. I mean, they're ripping fast and they're just amazing. And Zachy Vengeance on rhythm, very underrated rhythm guitarist. And M Shadows on the vocals on this song. This is one of only three songs on this album where he sings all clean vocals. Every other song was mostly screaming or half and half, whatever else. But To End the Rapture, I thought was a really good under 2 minute song, to a strong opener into what would be the next song, Turn the Other Way, which is the second longest song on the album at 5.5 minutes. And this is a heavy song, crazy screaming song, and just riffs go all over the place. So yeah, great song here, Turn the Other Way. And another notification, and the Creature Hub's going to be live on Twitch now, and I'm missing it to do this, but I can check it out after I get done making these episodes. Yeah, once again, like the Metallica show, I'm recording all the episodes in one night. But then we get to the third song, Darkness Surrounding, which is one of the best songs, if not maybe the best song on the album. I'll say it's the best song on the album because this had great riffs and great speed. This was the only album really where they were considered punk related because of the speed of the album. Was very punk speed, not necessarily like a thrash metal band where it's faster than punk, but there was a couple songs on here that did have a thrash metal speed element to it. But Darkness Surrounding, this song was a great song. I think this was the best song on the album, in my opinion. Then we get the song The Art of Subconscious Illusion, which was one of my personal favorites off this album. Great riffs as well. I mean, the riff writing on this album was really good. And also, an additional note with this song, there's a part in the song where it sounds like a Satan demon girly screaming vocal, and it's from M. Shadows' then girlfriend, now wife, Valerie DiBenedetto. And she went crazy on that little part that you hear in the middle of the song. But yeah, The Art of Subconscious Illusion was a really good song. Then we get another strong song, maybe the second best song on the album, We Come Out at Night. Very heavy song, probably the heaviest song on this album, I would say. Then we get Lips of Deceit, which was a song that they wrote around the time they started. And actually, an interesting note about the song title, Lips of Deceit, would have been the name of the band if they didn't come up with Avenged Sevenfold. They were going to be called Lips of Deceit, which would have worked. I mean, it's a good name. Maybe I can use that name in the band if I start a band or something. I don't know. But Lips of the Sea was a good song. But then we get to the softest song on the album, and one of the soft moments, personally for me, is a metal guy, a hard rock guy, and also as a musician. Yeah, I am a musician. Technically, I am trying to play drums, so yeah. But Warmness on the Soul is probably one of the best ballads I ever heard. And this is only the second song on the album that was all clean vocals. Like, the first half of the song was piano and acoustic guitar. But then you get to the second half where you hear this great solo from Zachy. This was one of Zachy's bright spots as far as a guitar player doing solos. This was a really good soft solo he did with this song. I really love this song a lot. It's such a heartfelt song, and I love it to death. Now we get back to the heaviness. We get an epic of time wasted, which I thought was a very strong song as well. Um, then we get the shortest song on the album, which is at 1 minute 11 seconds, "Breaking Their Hold." Now this song was a pretty thrashy kind of speed to it, and the vocals were just absolutely out of control, and the riffs and the bass just went nuts on this song because it is 1 minute 11 seconds. But then we get "Forgotten Faces," which I thought was a good song, and then we get "Thick and Thin," which was a pretty thrash metal influenced kind of song with the speed and the heaviness. But then we get to the fastest song on the album and the most thrashy song, "Streets," which actually this was a song that M. Shadows wrote when he was in his own punk band called Successful Failure. Um, but yeah, even though it came from a punkish type of band, this song was very thrash metal influenced. Really good song, and one of Jimmy the Rev Sullivan's best performances on the drum kit. I can't believe he's gone. Still to this day, I cannot believe he's dead. 4 years, almost 4 years. It's a damn sad story. But then we end the song off with the longest song on the album at 7 minutes 8 seconds, "Shattered by Broken Dreams," which kind of had a vibe from "Warmness on the Soul." Started off like the first half of the song with the acoustic guitars, soft vocals, but then the second half gets to pretty much most of the song with the screaming vocals and the heaviness. And the kind of funny, the intro, the beginning to end the Rapture had thunder and rain. The outro to "Shattered by Broken Dreams" was thunder and rain. So you had the intro and outro to this album. But overall, "Sounding the Seventh Trumpet" in retrospect was a pretty good, solid debut album for Avenged Sevenfold. Showed their potential of what was to come on their next album, and I can't wait to review the next album because it's my personal favorite Avenged Sevenfold album. Not necessarily the best by some people, but it's my personal favorite because it was the album that got me into the band. But overall, "Sounding the Seventh Trumpet," I'd give it about a solid 8 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty solid debut for them. Showed that they have a lot to offer to the metal and to the heavy metal hard rock community. So yeah, next up, episode 2, "Waken the Fallen." Peace.